I'm calling this week the Seggs Week, Sex Week Fantasy Suites, a leap of faith. Let's dive in. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Let me start with a little bit of light housekeeping. I'm back from my LA trip. So excited that the Women Tell All is going to air next Monday. Make sure you don't miss it. But in the meantime, then I got back through an Oscar party. I'm still wearing my Barbie / Oscar earrings, and I had a weird Barbie show up. One of my friends dressed as Weird Barbie. We get all decked out. I had food to match. So much fun. Let's talk about fantasy suites because there was a lot that happened. Check out Bachelor Data on Instagram because she tracks all the statistics on the dates and what order. And unfortunately for Rachel, this is just according to Bachelor Data and her statistics, that the person who goes first is not going to get a rose. But I'm already kind of feeling that. Are you? Let me know in the comments what you think. What I did love is Susan. Susan shows up for Rachel. They're in Tulum, a beautiful location. Tulum is one of those magical places. And before she has her overnight date, she is just the perfect sounding board for Rachel. She's an older, wise woman. Rachel is gushing about Joey. He's a dream come true. And she loves that Joey embraces her goofiness. And I love that Susan then helps her to see that it's good to fall in love. It's fun to fall in love. She admits, though, that she's a little skeptical. And this is where we hear more about Rachel's history, that she's been cheated on not once, but twice. Oh, this reminds me a little bit of Charity season 2, and I just felt bad for Rachel. I really appreciate the vulnerability and the share, but who are these men? She deserves so much more. But Susan has such wise words, says, let's not talk about your past because your past is fear. So here's an acronym for you that I love, the word fear. False evidence appearing real. So when you have fear, like you look in, your rearview mirror and it's like objects may appear closer than they are, that's what fear is. We're taking what happened to us in our past and projecting that the same thing's going to happen. But overall, I really love that Susan tried to do a nice job in calming Rachel down. Let's get into the one-on-one date. So they go diving in Mexico. Have you ever dove at a cenotes? Now, these cenotes are these underground like rivers, essentially. Some of them are kind of like caves, but there are thousands of cenotes in this area. This is kind of like Playa del Carmen, Tulum. It's really a unique geographical kind of area, but they're cold water, these cenotes. So not only are they diving from high platforms, and we've seen this platform before. This was where Gabby Windy was diving on her date. So they're at the cenotes. And Rachel, it looks like she hits the water hard, kind of maybe her face leans forward and she really took it up the nose and kind of her jaw. Oh, that moment, I just felt a total yikes for her. She's trying so hard to be strong and stoic. Obviously, you don't want to lose minutes of your precious date, but this is really an injury that needs to be attended to. I'll tell you, it reminds me not this exact same thing because I hate heights. I don't think I would have jumped. But in Costa Rica, I crashed on a zip line. I say that only because I can understand how vulnerable you feel. You're traveling, you're in a unique country, maybe you don't speak the language, and now you are at the mercy of getting medical attention. It is really something that I want to say, take your time, Rachel, get the help that you need because that really, she could have really broken her jaw and thankfully she didn't. So now Rachel is disclosing more to Joey that she feels so behind. Of course, thankfully, the women are not all sleeping in the same room. They have their own rooms, which is great. But you can't help but feel like now there's some comparison happening. They go to the fantasy suite. I love that she says yes. I don't know if she's still in pain. That might be difficult. It's all happened in the same day. But I'm going to guess they didn't sleep together. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Did Rachel and Joey sleep together? I kind of felt like they didn't. The next morning, it looked lovely, but more like friends. I didn't feel that sexual kind of energy. Now, he's, of course, saying nice things. You made it so easy. I got to see these other sides of you. But I do think the growth happened for Rachel when she said, I let someone take care of me. I think that's so important, especially if her history has been that she's been cheated on, to now allow a new man like Joey to care for her. That is really special because it takes you being vulnerable and trusting to let that other person do that. I thought this was really lovely, and I thought their ending was sweet. Of course, he tells all the women, see you soon. Um, but overall, how would you rate that date? I mean, I thought it was as good as possible. It's, to me, it's just obviously a little weaker compared to the ones that the next ones. Okay, so now we have Kelsey. Kelsey, lovely as ever. Leslie comes to talk to Kelsey to give her some encouragement and some words of advice. Kelsey tells Leslie that her hometowns were amazing, that everybody loved Joey, and we can all agree who doesn't love Joey, that her dad was so supportive. Leslie shares more about her that she lost her mother at 24 too. Now remember this, if you were following me on The Golden Bachelor, Leslie also lost her father too. She told that story about one day she was at school and her father didn't pick her up. So she lost her father in her teens and then her mother at 24. Ugh, I just felt for Leslie that she's an orphan at this age and how hard that must have been. So, like, no wonder her brother was close to her. But this is where the conversation then turns bad, right? That she says, yeah, I can relate. I went to my last date pretty confident and I didn't get chosen. And I'm scared for you to be heartbroken. I wished I wouldn't have been so confident. Ugh. So her advice to Kelsey is to have something in the back of your head that it might not work. Let's talk about this from a psychological perspective. It's called projection. What does that mean? When something's happened to me and I project it onto you, like a projector, okay? Because this is what Leslie's doing. It happened to me. I knew where you were. I had a great hometown too. I was really in love with Gary, and he told me he loved me even, and he dumped me. And that could happen to you. So she's projecting that onto Kelsey. We don't know if that's what's going to happen for Kelsey. So lots of people have had this experience, and we're going to get to Joey's experience too because he shares so much of that. But what happens is we get locked into these similar feelings. So now I'm falling in love, but I feel falling, right? It's a vulnerable feeling, and I have all that trepidation. So now Kelsey is listening to all of this and taking it in. I really adore Leslie. I think she wanted to accomplish something different, but I think Kelsey took it to heart, her message of caution, a little bit too much. Now, let's get to Joey and Kelsey. They are just my favorite couple, okay? It was always like usually the person who ends up winning is the one who was kind of low key all along. Like we didn't see it and now all of a sudden we see it. And it's like the light bulb goes off and you can't unsee it. But I just think that if you notice, Joey really gives Kelsey more compliments than he gives the other women. Talks multiple times how great she looks, how much he misses her. He's tracking Kelsey's words closely. He says, she's never said the L word. And even when they were on their bikes and the tandem bikes in the hometowns, he said, don't use the F word for fall, right? I think there's so much that's just really sweet between the two of them. Now they're on this yacht, this boat. Poor Rachel, had to jump and she's on a boat. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you imagine Rachel watching that? But he says to her things like, your hair is crazy, don't tame the mane. These small little things that he is just exuding with the confidence. And the two of them are like little kids together. They're in the water, there's the manta rays and the turtles and the giddiness and the laughing. Someone in the comments said that Kelsey seems a little childlike. And I was thinking about that because I read your comments and I think, I don't know if childlike as much as she's falling in love. And when you're in love, you feel like a little kid. You are exuberant. And I love that for her. I don't want her to hold it back. It's like you're falling in love. It feels good. Just go for it because you could see that Joey's right there. Watch while they're kind of swimming around, not snorkeling, and he grabs her hand while they're swimming. You don't see him do that with everyone. Okay, Kelsey doesn't want the day to end. She says to Joey, you deserve the world, and you continue to put yourself out there. What's meant to be is meant to be. That, my dad gave me so much reassurance, talked about his mom. So Joey says, scary feelings.
I'm falling in love with you fully.
And he says the word fully because he's going to say it to Daisy too, but he says fully. And I've been wanting to say it for a while. But here's what Kelsey does. I want you to take notice of this. Kelsey, of all the women, she's always checking back with Joey. What a beautiful trait in a partner. She says to him, this must be hard for you, because he's talking about the vulnerability. He can relate to the feelings of it not working. He was Charity's number two. But she asks, and I just think, wow, isn't that lovely? She's so attuned to this man. There's just such synchronicity. The chemistry between these two is just off the charts. The sexiest part of the date is the next morning when she's in her robe and she's on the countertop and they're making breakfast. Yowza. I mean, this was like a wow. Something maybe did happen between these two of them. They both can't stop smiling. He touches her face with such sensitivity. He said he wants to be very confident where he could say it 100%. But this is the problem now. I counted them. Kelsey has said it 5 times by this point. I'm thinking about what Leslie said. Oh, and we're going to get to that. All right, let's go to Daisy's date. So she is excited. She looks adorable in Tulum. This is going to be more of an athletic date. I love that they tell them what to wear. But she already says at the beginning, this isn't like my best day. I wonder if she's feeling off. It's Mexico. Did she get sick? But there's something that feels in these last 2 episodes, in the hometown and now today, this is not the quiet, confident Daisy that we had seen in the last couple times where she puts her feet on Joey's legs. Something is off for me. Now, Sandra tries to help Daisy get more calm. This could not have been more perfect. Sandra was great too. She reminds me, if you're watching my Love is Blind commentary, of Clay's mother. Wise advice. She asks Daisy how she's feeling. Has he expressed the same? But she says, don't be afraid to kind of like go all in and even more, be more sexual. Give it some oomph. This is like a Sandra-ism with the farting and the ohms. I just love her. So she says, tell Joey that you can't wait to start practicing having babies with him. Men love that. And I just love when a woman says, like, men love that. So sweet. Daisy, of course, explains to Sandra that this has been life-changing for her because she's had this cochlear implant. Other men in the past have not been as positive as Joey, and so that is very positive. And Sandra says, you're like one of my daughters. These Golden Girls, I tell you, they get around. Aren't they tired? My gosh, we're seeing them everywhere. But loved, love, love that. Okay, so now the date itself, they're riding ATVs, they're going four-wheeling. Daisy is, again, I feel like she's just a little bit shut down. Joey keeps checking on her. Are you okay? But something's bubbling up for her. You have that hot kind of shower makeout scene, which we had seen in the previews. Finally, now we can put some context to that. Now they're at the evening portion, and I just felt like there's a lot of weird silences here. Did you? They're talking, and is she having a hard time hearing? I don't know what's happening, or is she shutting down? But Joey now is oversharing. He's like over talking. Is he feeling guilty? I'm just going to say, is he in love with Kelsey? Knows he's going to say no to Daisy. I don't know that for sure. And then is he feeling bad because now he's talking so much about his own pain and his own hurt? And we don't usually see the lead doing this. So this is my idea. Is he feeling guilty that he's going to have to let Daisy go? But he is the lead. He has the power, and yet he's acting as if he's backed into the situation he was with Charity. So there's lots of like emotion here, but I was looking for more confidence. And I think because Joey's feeling emotional, Daisy is now feeling more emotional, but I got the feeling like it was just too much for her. Again, I thought she was shutting down. Okay. He finally says he is falling in love with her. He didn't say fully. And he's felt this for a while. They have their date. I don't know what happens. What do you think? Did they? Did they not? I don't think so. But it is possible. And now Joey says,
I think that if I would get down on one knee, Daisy would say yes to me.
So I'm thinking, okay, she is a safe bet. He said he has 0 doubts. And that's where we leave it with Daisy. Now we have to come back to everyone is out there analyzing the pink nail polish. Looking at it, is it Kelsey's nail polish? Is it Daisy's? Is it Rachel's? And sure enough, it's Kelsey's nail polish. Remember, she's said it 5 times. She cannot get the conversation with Leslie out of her mind. And she says that if it's not me, I don't think I could get over it. I would rather leave now than have my heart completely broken. This is not what Joey was expecting. We see she's come to the door twice. She's left the note. Joey reads the note, and you can feel his heart sink, right? This is his biggest fear of being abandoned, rejected, not chosen. So they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger, but I thought it was so poignant that Joey says, I don't understand how this happened. Like, what happened? I didn't say anything to her. They left on a perfect note. This could derail everything. Well, yeah, if she's your F1, it would derail everything. Okay, so cliffhanger until next week to find out what really happens here. Who's going to be the final two? But I'm sorry, not next week. Next week is going to be the tell-all. It's going to be the week after that. So we'll see, or if they're maybe going to give us 2 episodes in a week. I don't know yet. But what is the lesson? Can we learn anything about love? I will say, love is a gamble. You really do have to take a leap of faith. Don't listen to the naysayers. Be yourself. Dive, go all in. Try not to freak yourself out. We call it falling in love for a reason because it makes you feel vulnerable. But what's on the other side is joy. It could work out. I say to people, and my clients included, you're halfway down the river. It's just as hard to go forward as it is to go back. And that's where they are right now in love. Sure, it's scary. You might lose, but you might win too. And so only you can decide, are you going to go forward or are you going to go backwards? And that is wrap.